In a world where appearances can be deceiving, one baby's birth shocked an entire town. Everybody laughed at him, but what happened next will leave you speechless. The busy halls of St. Mary's Hospital erupted into chaos on a stormy Tuesday night. Lightning crackled outside as Sarah Thompson's screams echoed through the maternity ward. The young mother-to-be had been in labor for nearly 20 hours, and the doctors were growing concerned. "Push, Sarah! You're almost there!" Dr. Emily Chen encouraged, her brow furrowed with concentration. With one final effort, Sarah gave birth. But instead of joyful cries, silence filled the room. "What's wrong?" she panted, struggling to sit up. "Why isn't my baby crying?" The nurses exchanged worried glances, their faces pale with shock. Dr. Chen stood frozen, her eyes wide as she stared at the newborn in her arms. "Let me see my baby," Sarah demanded, panic rising in her chest. Slowly, hesitantly, Dr. Chen turned to face the new mother. In her arms lay a sight that defied belief. The baby boy, still covered in afterbirth, looked nothing like a typical newborn. His skin was wrinkled and sagging, his face a roadmap of creases and folds. A wispy tuft of gray hair clung to his otherwise bald head, but most striking of all were his eyes. Wide open and startlingly alert, they seemed to hold the wisdom of centuries. "What happened to him?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. Dr. Chen swallowed hard, struggling to find her professional composure. "I've never seen anything like this before," she admitted. "Your son appears to have a rare condition that causes accelerated aging, but I assure you, medically speaking, he's perfectly healthy." As word spread through the hospital, rumors swirled. "It's a curse," someone exclaimed. "Maybe he's an alien," another guessed. Sarah could hear the commotion growing outside, but her focus remained solely on her newborn son. Despite his unusual appearance, she felt an overwhelming surge of love as she cradled him in her arms. "Hello, Benjamin?" she whispered, using the name she had chosen months ago. "You're perfect, no matter what anyone says." But not everyone accepted Benjamin. As days passed and Benjamin's existence became public knowledge, the small town erupted into a frenzy of gossip and speculation. People flocked to the hospital, hoping to catch a glimpse of the old man baby. Reporters crowded the streets. Sarah's husband, Mark, struggled to protect his family from the media circus. "This is our son, not some sideshow attraction," he shouted at a particularly persistent paparazzo who had managed to sneak into the maternity ward. Even as the initial shock began to wear off, the Thompson family's challenges were only beginning. When it's time to take Benjamin home, they find themselves besieged by gawkers and well-meaning but intrusive neighbors. "Poor thing," Mrs. Abernathy from next door said. "Have you considered special care facilities?" Sarah bristled at the suggestion. "Benjamin is our son, and he's staying right here with us," she declared firmly. However, as months passed, Sarah began to struggle. Benjamin still looked like a tiny elderly man, and his development was far from normal. While other babies of his age were just learning to hold up their heads, Benjamin was already sitting up unassisted, his wise eyes taking in the world around him with an unnerving intensity. Doctors were baffled. Specialists flew in from around the country, subjecting Benjamin to several tests and examinations. Each one left more confused than the last. "His cellular structure is unique," one geneticist explained, scratching his head. "It's as if his body is aging at an accelerated rate, but only externally. Internally, he's developing like any other infant." The media attention wore the family down. Sarah lost her job at the local bank when customers complained about the weirdo baby's mom handling their money. Mark faced constant ridicule at the construction site where he worked. "Hey, Thompson," his co-workers would jeer. "When's Grandpa coming to take your kid to bingo night?" Even Benjamin's older sister, 5-year-old Emma, wasn't spared from the cruelty. Her kindergarten classmates called her brother a freak and a monster. One day, Sarah found herself at her breaking point. She sat on the nursery floor sobbing as she clutched Benjamin to her chest. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I'm sorry I can't make this easier for you. I'm sorry the world is so cruel." To her surprise, Benjamin reached up with his tiny, wrinkled hand and patted her cheek. His eyes, so old yet so young, seemed to convey a deep understanding far beyond his months. At that moment, Sarah realized something important. Benjamin might look different, but he was still her baby. She was determined to give him the best life possible, no matter the challenges ahead. With renewed determination, Sarah and Mark decided to take control of their situation. They reached out to local support groups for families with children who have rare medical conditions. Through these connections, they found a network of understanding parents who offered emotional support and practical advice. The family also sought out a therapist who specialized in helping families cope with unique medical challenges. The therapist helped the family develop coping mechanisms for dealing with public scrutiny and taught them how to advocate effectively for Benjamin's needs. Through role-playing exercises, the family practiced handling difficult social situations and responding to insensitive comments. Slowly but surely, they began to see positive changes in their community. Sarah's former co-workers at the bank organized a fundraiser to help with Benjamin's medical expenses. Mark's boss, after witnessing his dedication to both work and family, gave him more flexible hours to attend Benjamin's numerous doctor appointments. At Emma's school, the principal worked with the family to implement a program teaching children about diversity and acceptance. This helped Emma and educated her classmates and their parents about Benjamin's condition. As the baby grew, his appearance continued to puzzle doctors. His wrinkled skin, wispy gray hair, and aged features remained a medical mystery. However, his cognitive development amazed everyone. By the time he was 12 months old, Benjamin wasn't just babbling like other babies his age. He already knew a dozen words and how to use them correctly to get what he wanted. Even more surprising was his problem-solving ability. Whether figuring out how to reach a toy or helping his sister Emma with her kindergarten homework, his intelligence was far beyond his years. The Thompsons worked closely with early childhood specialists to support Benjamin's extraordinary abilities. They developed a special curriculum that challenged him intellectually but also ensured he didn't miss essential developmental milestones. The specialists stressed the importance of play and socializing, encouraging Benjamin to join in activities typical for his age. Despite his advanced intellect, he still loved the simple joys of being a toddler. He laughed at peekaboo, splashed around happily during bath time, and cherished his stuffed animals. Sarah and Mark made sure he had a balance of learning and carefree play. As news of Benjamin's unique combination of physical appearance and mental abilities continued to spread, researchers from various fields expressed interest in studying him. The family was careful about these requests, only agreeing to non-invasive studies that could help understand Benjamin's condition. To everyone's surprise, the extensive research yielded no groundbreaking discoveries. Despite Benjamin's extraordinary appearance and intellect, his genetic makeup showed no significant abnormalities. His telomeres, often associated with aging, were perfectly normal for a child his age. Brain scans revealed a highly active and well-connected neural network, but nothing that could explain his accelerated aging or advanced cognitive abilities. The lack of a clear scientific explanation only seemed to deepen the public's fascination with Benjamin. Some hailed him as a miracle, while others insisted there must be more to the story. Throughout it all, the family focused on giving Benjamin a normal, happy childhood. They celebrated every milestone and showered him with love and acceptance. However, the journey wasn't always easy. They still faced stares and whispers when they went out in public, and some days were tougher than others. But the family drew strength from each other and the supportive community they had built around them. 3 years after Benjamin's birth, you won't believe how he looks now. While his appearance remained unusual, his incredible intellect and loving personality had won over even the harshest critics. One day, Sarah stood in the playroom doorway, watching her son build an intricate block tower with his sister. Although his face still looked like an elderly man, his laughter was pure, joyful, and childlike. At that moment, Sarah realized that while the world might see Benjamin as different from their family, he was perfect just as he was. As she watched her children play, Sarah felt pride, love, and hope for the future. She knew challenges still lay ahead, but she also knew that, together, they could face anything. Benjamin had shown them that true beauty and strength come from within, and that lesson was far more valuable than any idea of what was normal. So, dear viewers, we want to hear from you. Have you ever felt different or misunderstood? How did you overcome it? Share your stories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible and inspiring stories.